This is Media City at Salford, and ongoing at the moment, the leaders' debate with the 7 main political parties. Here in our region, for you as an LGBT voter, we've been asking the parties questions about their manifestos and LGBT issues. We sent our questions to all 7 of the major parties. We received responses from Labour, the Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru and the Scottish National Party, but received no response from the UK Independence Party, the Conservatives or the Green Party. Our first question was about where the parties stand on the availability of gender reassignment on the NHS. Plaid Cymru and the Scottish National Party both recognise that gender reassignment clinics are not available in their respective countries. The SNP will refer patients to centres outside Scotland. Plaid Cymru want a clinic in Wales under the NHS. The Liberal Democrats say that gender identity clinics should be subject to the same maximum waiting times as other services. They support updating the Gender Recognition Act to remove the current requirement for a diagnosis of gender identity disorder before patients can access treatment. Labour pledges to address variations and problems in access to services across England. Our second question asked what the parties would do to improve immigration processes for LGBT asylum seekers fleeing homophobic and transphobic governments and regimes. Both Plaid Cymru and Labour want to address the default position taken by many judges that LGBT asylum seekers are fabricating their stories in order to stay in the UK. Plaid Cymru point out that organisations such as Amnesty International have clearly documented the countries where LGBT people face persecution. This, they imply, should form a baseline for the asylum process. Labour say they will review the current asylum process and will appoint an LGBT rights envoy to promote respect for the human rights of LGBT people and work towards the decriminalisation of homosexuality worldwide. The Liberal Democrats say they will oppose ridiculous tests for sexuality and are considering changing diplomatic protocols so that the reasons for refusing asylum are not provided to the home countries after failed claims. The SNP just say that they will continue to champion the rights of asylum seekers and refugees at Westminster. Our third and fourth questions both relate to education. What would the parties do to improve greater LGBT awareness in schools, and what improvements would they make to sex and relationships education to make it more inclusive? All of the parties who responded said they believe in the importance of age-appropriate sex and relationships education in schools and will build upon existing programs. However, there were some differences in approach. 2 parties talk of the Equality Act. The Liberal Democrats want to extend the scope of the Act to include protection from harassment on the grounds of sexuality and gender identity. Plaid Cymru believe that lessons in schools should reflect the Equality Act. The Lib Dems commit to maintaining funding to support organisations that help tackle homophobic and transphobic bullying. The SNP say that a toolkit for teachers dealing with homophobic bullying has already been introduced for schools in Scotland. Plaid Cymru would require schools to monitor and record incidents of all forms of bullying. Labour would encourage schools to embed character education across the curriculum and will equip teachers to deal with homophobic and transphobic bullying. Our next 2 questions deal with hate crimes. We asked where the parties stand on allowing religious leaders to preach and advocate death to LGBT people. Question 6 asked how the parties would reduce hate crime against LGBT people. The Lib Dems said that they support freedom of speech, but not the freedom to incite hatred and violence. They will ensure that LGBT hate crime is properly reported by the police, allowing resources to be best directed to target such matters. In a similar statement, Labour commits to strengthen the law on LGBT hate crime, equalising protection for all groups. They will ensure that the Crown Prosecution Service publishes data on enhanced sentencing for each protected characteristic. This, they say, will build confidence in the criminal justice system. Labour support tough measures to restrict religious preachers from spreading hate, including, where relevant, stopping them from entering the country. Plaid Cymru echo this, stating they believe in upholding the ban on hate preachers wishing to visit the UK. The party believes that healthy relationships education will reduce prejudice, and in the short term they will work with the police to ensure that issues are understood, people feel confident in the criminal justice system, and that perpetrators will be appropriately punished. They go one step further in calling for tougher sentences for those convicted of hate crimes. The SNP say they would continue to work alongside communities and Police Scotland to ensure that it's understood that preaching hatred is never acceptable. They too believe that the justice system should be equipped to deal effectively with hate crimes so that victims have the confidence to report incidents. The SNP also supports rehabilitation for those who perpetuate such crimes. In our next few questions, we looked at health, first asking if the parties would increase funding for HIV prevention. All of the parties seemed to say that they would increase such funding, although they provided different levels of detail as to how this would happen. Plaid Cymru said that there's no room for complacency on tackling HIV, and that increased funding would not only improve the health of those at risk, but would also save the health service in the long run. The SNP noted that the refreshed sexual health and blood-borne virus framework is currently in early consultation stages and will be published in the summer. Labour want to ensure that information is provided to everyone, particularly the young, to help them make informed choices about their relationships and sexual health, and to challenge the stigma of HIV. They also want to promote increased availability of testing. Their focus is on prevention. The Lib Dems say they will invest to eliminate preventable diseases like TB, HIV and malaria within a generation. They'll support public and private research and development into treatment for these and other deadly diseases and infections. The Lib Dems see responsibility for delivering HIV prevention efforts as best placed within local authorities, who can coordinate with other community services to allow decisions to be tailored to the local area. Question 8 asked if every gay man should be given access to PrEP treatment on the NHS. All four parties referenced guidelines provided by external bodies such as NICE, the British HIV Association, and the UK Advisory Group on AIDS. They all say that the decision is one that should be based on clinical evidence and published guidelines, not the desires of politicians. The Lib Dems added that guidelines suggest that PrEP is most appropriately targeted to people at greatest risk, such as the partners of HIV-positive people. Plaid Cymru said that where treatment is supported by organisations such as NICE, they would ensure it's available on the NHS. Labour echo the need to follow clinical guidelines and add that further work needs to be done to understand the potential benefits of PrEP. Our penultimate question was, will you reduce the time that gay men have to wait to give blood? Plaid Cymru said that ending the 12-month ban is a manifesto commitment. Labour and the Lib Dems both state that the rules on giving blood should be non-discriminatory. However, Labour say there could be a case for reviewing the 12-month ban, but appear to make no commitment to do so in their answer. The SNP say that this is a clinical decision, which they will make based on advice from the expert UK Advisory Committee on the safety of blood, tissue and organs. Our 10th and final question was, how will you engage more with LGBT voters and include them in your manifesto? The Lib Dems said their manifesto includes a section on promoting LGBT individuals and sets out policies which they would prioritise in order to do so. They say they will publish an LGBT mini-manifesto, but to date this has not been published. They'll give equal rights and obligations to cohabiting couples in the event of a relationship breakdown or one partner dying without a will. They'll permit humanist weddings and opposite-sex civil partnerships. They'll progress steps towards gender-neutral passports and seek to allow these for people who don't identify on the gender binary. They'll develop a comprehensive international LGBT rights strategy around the world, advancing the cause of LGBT LGBT rights and promoting international recognition of same-sex marriages and civil partnerships. They will tackle homophobic, biphobic and transphobic bullying and discrimination in schools. They'll seek to pardon all those with historic convictions for consensual homosexual activity between adults, the so-called Turing's Law. They'll enhance the experience of all football fans by making homophobic chanting a criminal offence, like racist chanting is now. The SNP pledges that the Scottish Government will be open, listening, accessible and decentralising, with a focus on equality and fairness. SNP members of Parliament will support establishment of an LGBTI rights envoy within the Foreign Office to promote gay rights across the world as an integral part of the UK foreign policy. Plaid Cymru say that they've included equalities as a main section of their manifesto. They believe that positive policies on the economy, public services and other general issues are important to LGBT voters. They have a specific Plaid Pride group which works to ensure the party is accessible for LGBT people and is aware of specific issues raised. Labour launched a specific LGBT manifesto in Brighton on April the 21st, which sets out 5 key pledges. These are: 1. Tackle the discrimination that holds LGBT people back. 2. An education free from homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. 3. Leadership on LGBT rights around the world. 4. Accessible and supportive health services. 5. Fairer and more diverse representation in public life. The full responses to all of our questions can be found at our website, lgbtv.co.uk. Just click the tab to Election 2015. We've provided responses from local candidates as well as from the party headquarters, wherever they've been received. On our website, you can find copies of all the main parties' manifestos. This includes those of UKIP, the Conservatives and the Green Party, who chose not to answer our questions directly. The only party which doesn't make any specific references in their manifesto to LGBT issues is UKIP. All of the other parties have made more pledges relating to the LGBT community, and we've extracted the key information for you, and you can find it on our website at the Election 2015 page. Voter apathy in the LGBT community seemingly mirrors the national mood.
I don't know.
There is nobody that I don't think that really represents us out there, to be honest.
I'm just not into politics, to be honest. It doesn't appeal to me.
I just haven't really got any interest.
Who do you vote for? Because they're all the same as each other, unfortunately.
I'm not politically minded, so I don't know who to vote for, so I wouldn't want to vote for. It would just be a castaway vote, really.
The most closely fought general election in decades is still too close to call, making it essential that you're not only well informed as to the issues affecting you, but that you actually exercise your right to vote on May 7th.